A young boy goes to sleep after finding his missing pet turtle and bringing it home. When he wakes up the next morning, his older brother is suddenly a grown man with a beard who faints at the sight of him. But to understand how this impossible situation happened, we need to go back to where it all started in the year 1990. Our story begins with a mischievous boy named Theo who loves Madonna and football. He's playing soccer with his friends and jokingly announces that the ball belongs to a Madonna fan before scoring an amazing goal. After the game, Theo asks his friends if they finished their homework. When they say yes, Theo is very happy because he made a deal. His friends did his homework in exchange for playing his video game. Theo grabs his game console and homework notebook and runs home. But instead of using the front door, he climbs up the drainage pipe and enters his room through the window. This is how Theo usually sneaks in. Theo lives with his older brother Oscar and their grandmother. They don't have parents around. Their mother mysteriously disappeared and they never talk about their father. Oscar is responsible and caring, and he especially loves his pet turtle. One night, Oscar checks on Theo and finds him in his room after climbing through the window. Oscar asks if he climbed the pipe again. Theo lies, saying he's been inside doing homework and shows his completed notebook as proof. Oscar is surprised, saying, "Wow, you even finished your homework." Oscar notices Theo injured his leg playing football, so he applies medicine carefully. Oscar knows Theo isn't always honest, but never tells their grandmother because he wants to protect his little brother. Later, while Oscar studies their mother's old research books, Theo asks when they can go to the movies. Oscar is surprised because Theo never wants to hang out. Theo explains that grandma gave him pocket money but he spent it all, while Oscar still has his saved, so Oscar should take him to the movies. Oscar says he can't because he needs to study these important books. Theo asks why Oscar still reads their mom's old books. Oscar answers that he's trying to find her. Theo mentions that neighbors say their mom ran away with someone, but Oscar firmly disagrees, explaining that their mother was a brilliant scientist who discovered time portals and is traveling through different time periods. Theo doubts this, saying time travel isn't real, but Oscar insists one day he'll open a time portal and find their mom. Now let me introduce Elena, Oscar's best friend from childhood. Oscar has deep feelings for her, but being very shy, he never tells her. Elena's father David owns a department store, and he often tells Oscar long stories from around the world, which Oscar finds boring but listens to politely. One day, Oscar sees Elena, Theo, and some friends heading to watch a movie. Elena kindly asks Oscar to join them. Oscar wants to go, but before he can speak, Theo quickly says Oscar is too busy and doesn't have time. Then Theo walks away with Elena and the others, leaving Oscar standing alone. Oscar feels too shy to correct Theo and misses this perfect chance to spend time with Elena. He's really upset with Theo for ruining his opportunity and wants to get back at him. That night, after Theo returns from the movie, he tries climbing the pipe to enter through the window. But to his surprise, Grandma is standing right there in his room, meaning Oscar told her everything. Theo feels angry at Oscar and decides he wants revenge. Looking for a way to mess with Oscar, Theo finds one of their mother's important research books. While Oscar isn't watching, Theo tears up the pages and starts building a paper rocket. During this, he finds a photo of his mother on the terrace wearing a red dress, which he puts in his pocket. There's also a list of coordinates written on paper, which Theo hides inside a dictionary to annoy Oscar later. After making his rocket, Theo goes to the terrace eating a banana and casually throws the peel down. Suddenly, something absolutely impossible happens. A strange portal opens in the air and the banana peel disappears inside completely. Theo is confused and goes downstairs to check, but the peel is completely gone. Wanting to test this, Theo throws his roller skates down from the same spot. The same thing happens. They vanish into the mysterious portal. Now really surprised, Theo throws a stone down. The stone also disappears. This discovery was about to change everything in ways Theo couldn't even imagine. And speaking of discoveries, I'm curious about something. What time is it where you're watching this video right now? Morning, afternoon, or late night? Drop it in the comments because I always wonder when people around the world watch these stories. Excited by finding this portal, Theo runs to Oscar and tries telling him about it. But Oscar gets extremely angry when he sees Theo tore up their mother's precious research notes to make a silly rocket. Theo tries explaining he discovered a real-time portal, but Oscar doesn't believe him. He thinks Theo is making fun of him. The brothers start fighting loudly. Their grandmother calls them downstairs to eat buns she made. She talks about how their grandfather used to make such soft delicious buns and how much she misses him. This makes both boys pause their argument out of respect. But once grandma leaves, their fight continues with Oscar calling Theo various animal names. Theo, feeling extremely angry and wanting to hurt Oscar where it would pain him most, makes a terrible decision. He takes Oscar's beloved pet turtle to the terrace and throws it into the time portal, causing it to disappear completely. When Oscar discovers his turtle is missing, he's absolutely devastated. He starts putting up missing posters all over the neighborhood and cries a lot about losing his precious friend. Seeing Oscar's genuine pain, Theo finally realizes the huge mistake he made. That night, feeling guilty and wanting to make things right, Theo jumps into the time portal himself. He lands in a strange place where everything he threw into the portal is lying scattered. The banana peel, the roller skates, the stone, and most importantly, The turtle. Theo quickly picks up the turtle, carefully carries it home, puts it back in its tank, and quietly goes to bed without telling anyone what happened. This is the moment that leads us to our shocking opening. When morning came, everything had changed. Oscar was no longer a teenager but a fully grown man with a beard, getting ready for work. The year was no longer 1990 but 2022. Theo had accidentally traveled 32 years into the future without knowing it. In this 2022 timeline, Oscar works as a physics professor. He goes to the department store still owned by Elena's father David to pick up groceries. Oscar asks about their grandmother's health. Then Elena shows up. She's now divorced with 2 children, but Oscar still has feelings for her. Elena works as an English professor at the same university. Back home, young Theo wakes up and calls for Oscar, holding the rescued turtle. When their grandmother enters, she's now very old and doesn't recognize Theo at all. When Oscar sees young Theo as a child, he's so shocked that he faints and falls to the floor. When Oscar regains consciousness, he asks in disbelief if it's really Theo. Theo is equally confused, asking how this stranger knows his name and who he is. Oscar explains he's his older brother, but Theo can't understand how Oscar got so big overnight. After confused conversation, Theo realizes the impossible truth. He's somehow in 2022. The brothers talk about what happened, with Theo still frustrated about the torn research notes. Theo shows Oscar the photo of their mother in the red dress. Oscar finally understands that time portals really exist and work at the quantum level, connecting different time periods. Theo just wants to go home because he's scared Grandma will be angry for being late. He goes to the terrace and tests the portal by throwing a stone, but this time it just bounces off normally. The portal is closed in 2022. Theo is confused how a portal could close. Oscar explains the portal only goes one direction, from 1990 to 2022, but not backwards. To return Theo to 1990, they need to find a different portal. Oscar takes Theo to his senior professor to learn more, but the professor dismisses the idea, saying even with all 2022's advancements, time portals are fantasy and impossible. Disappointed, both brothers leave. Theo is amazed by the modern world. He sees Oscar's smartphone and asks what this thing is. Oscar explains it's a phone with no wires and no dial. Theo is completely stunned by how much changed. When they get home, Oscar's colleague asks about Theo, thinking he's Oscar's missing brother. Oscar quickly lies, saying this is his cousin's son and not to take Grandma's words seriously. Theo introduces himself as Diego Armando, mentioning his name sounds like Maradona, the famous football player. When Oscar casually mentions Maradona recently passed away, Theo is shocked and devastated. He starts crying, asking why Oscar didn't tell him his hero is gone. Oscar tries comforting him but reminds Theo they need to focus on getting back to 1990. Oscar starts doing complex calculations to find where other portals might be. Then Theo remembers the list their mother kept. Oscar asks what list. Theo explains that when angry at Oscar, he hid that list inside a dictionary to get back at him. When Oscar asks Grandma about the dictionary, she says she gave it to David. Next morning, Oscar tells Theo he's going to see David and warns Theo to stay home. But Theo sneaks out and ends up in a huge modern mall. He's amazed by advanced gadgets, especially a VR headset. He tries it on and gets so excited playing games that he accidentally breaks it. Oscar gets called to the mall and has to pay for damages. He scolds Theo for not listening and causing problems. Later, they go to David's store asking about the dictionary. David says it's at his house. While talking, Elena walks in. Theo is surprised and says she grew up very beautiful. Elena is puzzled, asking who this kid is and how he knows her name. Oscar makes up a story that Theo is his cousin's son who he mentioned before. David jokes that looking at Theo makes him feel old. Oscar quickly changes the subject. Elena kindly invites both to her house. Her 2 children, a boy and girl, are playing the latest mobile games. Theo is impressed and joins in, though struggling with modern games. Elena's children even use Alexa to check time, showing off their technology. Back at their place, Oscar and Theo go to the terrace where Oscar explains the list might contain coordinates to different time portals. They try verifying locations by dropping objects at specific spots to see if portals appear, but nothing happens. Oscar thinks he made calculation mistakes and they should try again later. At home, Theo asks Oscar personal questions. Why doesn't he have friends? Why does he stay alone? And why hasn't he told Elena his feelings? Oscar dismisses the idea, saying even though Elena is divorced, he doesn't think a relationship would work. Without Oscar knowing, Theo secretly uses Oscar's phone to send messages inviting Elena, David, and Elena's children for dinner. When everyone arrives, Oscar is surprised and confused. David teases him, asking why he looks shocked when he invited them. Theo admits he sent the messages, and Oscar realizes his brother's mischief. During the gathering, Oscar and Elena bond nicely and grow closer. Next day, Elena takes Theo shopping for new clothes fitting 2022 style. In the changing room, Theo does his playful football commentary like he used to, saying now the ball is with the Madonna fan, and he makes this strong kick and scores. Yes, Theo wins. Theo is the best. Elena, listening to Theo's enthusiastic play acting, is struck by powerful recognition. She suddenly realizes who this child really is and asks in amazement if it's really Theo. remembering his childhood face. Elena is puzzled how Theo can be the same age after so many years. Theo explains the truth: he jumped through a time portal his mother researched, traveling directly from 1990 to 2022. Elena finds this hard to believe but can't deny the evidence. She asks Oscar for confirmation. He demonstrates by throwing a stone off the roof, which bounces back, proving a portal exists there. Oscar explains 3 different types of time portals. The first type allows direct travel between 2 specific times. The second type is unpredictable and might send you to any random timeline. The third type is extremely dangerous because it has no exit. Anyone entering gets trapped forever. Theo used the first type to arrive in 2022, and now they need the correct portal to send him back to 1990 safely. These different portal types were like different doors in a house. Some lead where you want, some lead to random rooms, and some you can never come back from once you enter. It reminds me of choices we make in life, doesn't it? By the way, if you're enjoying this story so far, hit that like button to let me know. It really helps the channel grow. As they research to find the right portal, Oscar genuinely enjoys Elena's daily visits. He even dances happily when alone, though quickly composing himself when Elena arrives. Together they work on decoding the list left by Oscar's mother. Elena starts thinking deeply about sending Theo back to 1990. She explains to Oscar that changing events in the past might create a different timeline where her current children never exist. This thought deeply troubles her because she loves her children more than anything. Oscar reassures Elena that even if Theo returns and changes some events, it shouldn't affect her current life. He promises to find a way to preserve her timeline while helping Theo. Theo, feeling responsible and understanding how important Elena's children are, comes up with a clever idea. He asks Elena's children, Brenda and Nathan, for help finding the portal. He reasons that if they help him reach the past, this guarantees they'll definitely be born in the future. Because if they weren't born, they wouldn't be here now to help him, right? The 3 children use a map to follow coordinates from the list. Theo believes one location at a beach is a portal that can take him to 1990. Excited about finally going home, Theo jumps into the ocean water. Brenda and Nathan, caught up in the moment, reluctantly jump with him. When they resurface and swim to shore, all 3 are absolutely shocked. Instead of the modern city, there are only mountains and wilderness. The city hasn't been built yet. They've traveled to the past, but unfortunately not 1990. They've gone much further back, to 1949. They realize they used the second type of portal, the unpredictable one, throwing you into a random timeline instead of specific destination. Meanwhile in 2022, worried Elena calls Oscar reporting that Theo and both her children disappeared. Oscar speculates they might have found the 1990 portal and suggests they should go there too to find them. In 1949, the 3 children face serious problems. They have no money working in this time, their modern phones don't have service, and all 3 are very hungry. Then Brenda and Nathan come up with a creative idea to earn money. They can use their modern wireless earphones to perform a mind-reading magic show that will amaze people. Nathan sits at a distance where he can see a board clearly. Theo stands in front writing down names given by the audience. Using wireless earphones people in 1949 never seen, Nathan secretly tells Brenda what's written. Brenda, sitting with eyes closed, amazes everyone by correctly stating names without seeing. The audience is thrilled, thinking Brenda has real psychic powers. They clap loudly and give the children some money. But their performance soon attracts unwanted police attention, because doing such public shows without permission is forbidden. As soon as Theo sees police coming, he makes a special whistling signal to his companions to run immediately, and all 3 children take off fast. While running through unfamiliar streets, they're suddenly grabbed by an unknown man who takes all 3 to a hidden location. Back in 2022, Oscar and Elena found the entry point to the portal leading to 1990. They hold hands tightly, count together 1, 2, 3, and jump into the portal. Elena is overwhelmed by the surreal experience of actually time traveling, questioning whether she's dreaming. In 1990, she sees posters everywhere about Theo being missing from this timeline. Meanwhile in 1949, the man who took the children brings them to a secret hideout belonging to a gang opposing the government. The gang leader demands to know why these children were brought here. The man explains the kids somehow know the gang's secret code word. Theo is very confused, asking what code word they're talking about. The man reveals it's the special whistling sound Theo made when signaling them to run from police. This whistle is actually the gang's recent secret signal. Theo is stunned because his grandmother taught him that exact whistle. Then something even more amazing happens. A young woman from the gang comes over to check on the children, and Theo immediately recognizes her. This is his grandmother when she was young. He realizes his grandma was once a member of this resistance gang, which explains how she knew that special whistle. This revelation shocks Theo, but he wisely keeps this recognition to himself and simply gives his young grandmother a warm hug. Meeting your own grandmother as a young woman must be one of the strangest experiences anyone could have. Imagine being able to see your family members when they were your age. What would that be like? And while we're on the topic of family connections across time, what country are you watching this from? I love seeing where viewers are from around the world. Drop your country name below. The gang, despite being against the government, works for the good of common people and has no intention of harming children. Realizing they're safe for now, Theo, Brenda, and Nathan start adapting to life in 1949. Having Theo's young grandmother there makes adjustment much easier. In 1990, Oscar and Elena are searching Oscar's house for any sign of missing children, but find it empty. Suddenly they hear someone coming and quickly hide inside a cupboard. It turns out to be younger Oscar from this timeline, who enters his room and starts crying while looking at Theo's missing posters. Future Oscar, witnessing his own younger self in such pain, feels deeply saddened. Back in 1949, the three children are settling into their new situation, especially since they realize they can't return through the same portal they used to arrive. It only works as one-way exit. Theo finds an opportunity and asks his young grandmother to take a photo with him, Brenda, and Nathan. He insists very seriously that she must keep this photo safe forever, even when she grows old, and frame it nicely. This creates a miraculous change in 1990. The photo of young grandmother in Oscar's house suddenly transforms. It now includes Theo, Brenda, and Nathan standing with her. Theo had cleverly written the coordinates of the time portal they used on the back of this photo, knowing it would provide Oscar and Elena with crucial information they need. Oscar and Elena realize what they must do. They need to return to 2022 first, then use coordinates written on the photo to find the correct portal to 1949, rescue all three children, bring everyone back to 2022, and finally send Theo back to 1990 where he belongs. Following this plan carefully, Oscar and Elena use portals to travel back to 2022, then locate and enter the portal marked by Theo's coordinates. When they arrive in 1949, they're greeted by two members of the grandmother's resistance gang. Theo had already told the gang that his brother Oscar would come looking for him, so these members were waiting and watching. To confirm this is really Theo's brother, they use the special whistle code that young grandmother had taught Oscar years ago in their original timeline. When Oscar correctly responds with matching whistle, they know he's genuine and lead him and Elena to where children are staying with the gang. Elena is filled with joy seeing her children safe, but Theo surprises everyone by saying he wants to stay in 1949. He's genuinely enjoying this time period and the adventure. Oscar is very upset hearing this and pleads with Theo not to abandon him. He admits that despite all their fights and arguments, Theo is his only real friend and like a true brother to him. He shares how lonely he felt without Theo and how he saw his younger self crying so much over Theo's disappearance. At this emotional moment, their young grandmother joins them. Oscar is surprised but stays quiet, not revealing she's his grandmother. Now they all need to find the time portal that will take them back to 2022. A member of the resistance gang drives them in an old car toward the portal location. This driver gives some delicious homemade buns to young grandmother, who comments on how amazing they taste. She eats them happily. Oscar and Theo realize something wonderful. This driver is actually their grandfather, and grandmother always loved his special buns. Before leaving 1949, they make sure to take some extra buns with them. When they eventually find the correct portal and return to 2022, they give these buns from the past to their elderly grandmother. She's absolutely shocked because they taste exactly like the ones her beloved husband used to make decades ago. She enjoys the buns tremendously, moved by this unexpected taste of the past. Now Oscar needs to send Theo back to 1990 using the portal they found at a construction site. However, Theo hesitates, feeling scared. He explains that in 1990 he is neither his mother nor father, expressing how lonely he feels. He tells Oscar he wants to stay in 2022 because Oscar reminds him of their dad and makes him feel safe. Deeply moved by Theo's words, Oscar hugs him tightly, feeling torn between what he wants and what's right. He explains gently that the Oscar living in 1990, his younger self, is also very lonely and desperately needs Theo for companionship and support. He promises that younger Oscar will look after Theo just like a parent would. Very reluctantly, Theo agrees to return to 1990. When he appears back in his original timeline, everyone is overjoyed. Oscar is thrilled to have him back, and Grandma shows him lots of love and affection. When Theo is asked where he's been all this time, he makes up a story about escaping from a hideout, keeping the complex truth about time travel to himself. The younger Oscar in 1990, stressed and confused by Theo's mysterious disappearance, had started to believe their mother really abandoned them. In his frustration, he began throwing their mother's books around the house. But when Theo returns, he sits down with Oscar and tells him the complete story of his time-traveling adventures. He even shows Oscar the smartphone from 2022 as proof. Even though there's no internet to demonstrate all its functions, just seeing this futuristic device is enough to make young Oscar start believing Theo's incredible story. Both brothers then make an important decision. They promise never to use time portals again and to focus on being happy in their present time together. Many years pass, and we return to 2022 where both brothers Oscar and Theo are now together as adults. When the doorbell rings, Theo jokes that Oscar's girlfriend Elena must be here. He encourages Oscar to finally confess his feelings, especially since Elena is now divorced. Theo explains he held back from suggesting this earlier because Elena was worried that changes in the timeline might mean her children wouldn't be born, and she loves them more than anything. Oscar had promised her that no matter what happened with the timeline, her life wouldn't change. Now that Elena's children Brenda and Nathan are definitely born and she's divorced, Theo feels it's the perfect time for Oscar to express his love. Oscar opens the door and Elena is standing there, beautiful and smiling. This sets the stage for a new chapter in their lives filled with hope and potential love. However, the movie has one final twist. The scene suddenly shifts to a very ancient time period, thousands of years in the past. A portal opens in the wilderness, and a woman steps out of it. This woman is revealed to be Oscar and Theo's mother, the scientist who had been researching time portals. In this extremely ancient era, people are full of superstitions and know absolutely nothing about science. Their mother, being a brilliant scientist, might start teaching these ancient people about scientific concepts, which could lead to major changes in how human civilization develops in the future. The movie ends with this intriguing twist, leaving us to wonder about the impact of time travel and how changes across different eras might affect everything. The story beautifully shows us that time is more complicated than we think, and that family bonds can survive even across different timelines and decades of separation. If you enjoyed this recap and want to see more movie explanations like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.